ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jess and we've road tripped to the Mallory Court Hotel today in Leamington Spa to look at this lovely Mazda MX-5. The Japanese brand is probably best known for its practical and reliable cars, but maybe the most famous car in the Mazda stable is this MX-5. The car first launched in the UK in 1990 and was based aesthetically on 1960s roadsters. This is the fourth generation of the nippy little roadster, and it also holds the title of the best-selling two-seater car of all time. You'll probably notice that this looks a lot different from the previous MX-5s. It's a lot chunkier, looks a bit sportier and has these really aggressive looking headlights. With this model you get two engine options. There's a 1.5 litre and a 2 litre. The 1.5 will do 130 brake horsepower, whereas the 2 litre will pump out 160. So depending on whether you want an agile, light car, you should go for the 1.5, or if you want that kind of stiffer, sportier setup, go for the 2 litre. Even though the MX-5 doesn't have an electric roof, it's really easy to operate. You just release it here, and then you can pull it forward with one hand. And you can do that from inside or outside the car, and it's just as easy to put it down again. This is the 1.5 litre version, which pumps out 131 PS, which is around 130 brake horsepower. It'll do 0 to 60 in 8.3 seconds. But if you're looking for a bit of extra power, there is a 2 litre model too. I imagine if you're looking for a little sports car that's fun to drive and looks great too, then the MX-5 is a great choice, especially considering that over the years it's been the best-selling two-seater car of all time. If I were to buy one of these cars, then I'd probably go for the slightly more powerful version, because I think a 2 litre engine will just give you that bit more punch that you want from a sporty car. Despite this car's aggressive looks and standing as a sports car, the 1.5 litre version is surprisingly economic. It'll do 47 miles per gallon, which when you think for a petrol, that is amazing. That's all down to Mazda's new Sky Active system, which has improved engine efficiency, but also refers to the new chassis setup as well. As you can imagine, being a two-seater car, it's quite small inside. It's not the kind of car you're going to want if you have a large family. However, if you're looking for a fun weekend car, you can't go wrong for the price. The MX-5 has always been super agile, but this new version is even more so. The low ride height and stiff chassis and suspension just means that it's light and you can throw it around corners without any body roll. The MX-5 is a rear-wheel drive car, so if you want to go on track, then you can have a lot of fun with one of these. The interior is very good quality with lots of leather and pretty dials. It's also all really easy to use and you're not fiddling around with too many buttons while you're driving along. This is the kind of car you can have a lot of fun with, whether it's your day-to-day vehicle or you just use it at the weekend for a long Sunday drive. We're here with Graham Fudge, PR Director of Mazda, to talk a bit more about the MX-5. So how does this car differ from its predecessors?
Well, we launched MX-5 25 years ago in 1990, and the original ethos behind MX-5 was to offer an affordable, fun-to-drive sports car, which most manufacturers at that time had abandoned that market segment. A lot of people said that maybe we were wrong in bringing in a car which, at the time nobody was buying or nobody appeared to be buying. And it's been a huge success story for us. We've sold almost 1 million worldwide, and this is the 4th generation. In the UK, we've sold 115,000 MX-5s, which really demonstrates the love affair that the British motorist has with soft-top sports cars. Of this one, it went on sale in August, and it really goes back to the whole idea of the original MX-5, which is lightweight, a lot of fun to drive, and just a gorgeous design.
And why do you think that the world has this love affair with the MX-5? What is its enduring kind of appeal?
It's a pretty looking car and it's a huge amount of fun to drive. You don't need to be Lewis Hamilton to drive one of these cars and have a lot of fun in them.
So all new Mazdas are developed with this SkyActiv technology. Can you tell us a bit more about what that entails?
Yeah, SkyActiv technology is everything that goes into the car from the ground up. So we've taken every component and we've tried to reduce it in weight, because weight is the enemy of the motorist. The more weight you carry around, the more fuel you burn, the more emissions you chuck out the tailpipe, and also the handling, the braking, the acceleration is worse the heavier the car is. So our engineers have taken every single component and they've tried to reduce the weight as much as possible, which is known as our gram strategy. So we take as many grams out of each component as possible. But then we looked at things like the final drive, we looked at the gearbox, and we reduced the friction in those items. But also the bodywork, we put a lot of high tensile steels into this car to make it as light as possible. In 1.5, this car is only slightly heavier than the original car back in 1990.
Wow.
With the 2 litre, it's slightly heavier, but it's only just over a tonne, which for any car these days, that's a really light car. And all the cars which we develop under the SkyActiv technology banner are 100 kilos lighter than their predecessor.
How do the two engines and the two cars differ for the driver?
Well, on the 2 litre, you've got the Bilstein shocks, which give it just a little bit sportier drive, I suppose. But there are two schools of thought on this. Some people who prefer the 1.5, some people who prefer the 2 litre. Personally, I prefer the 1.5 because I feel it is lighter, it's more agile, it turns in quicker. But what you get with the 2 litre is just that little bit more grunt, which enables you to accelerate faster. And potentially, if you prefer cars with a little bit more power, then the 2 litre might be the one for you. I'm here now in the 2 litre MX-5 and the difference is astounding. This really feels like a proper sports car because you get so much more response from the throttle than you do in the 1.5 litre version. Mazda has done a fantastic job with these cars in making them so much lighter than their predecessors. What they do is they will completely build a car, then take it apart to see if each little individual bit could be improved in terms of weight. For example, the engine is aluminium thanks to the SkyActiv technology. The gearbox has had the friction reduced, and there's lots of parts made from high tensile steel, which makes it much lighter and much more rigid too. Whether you're driving this car or you're a passenger, you'll notice that it's so solid. That's down to the low ride height, stiffened chassis and stiff suspension, but it's not bumpy, it's still really comfortable. It's not like a hot hatch or a really high-end sports car that is designed for a racetrack. This is a car that is designed for a Sunday drive. If you're looking for a fun sports car that you're going to drive on weekends, maybe go for a bit of a dawdle around the countryside, then this is the car for you. The 2 litre version
definitely has that fun factor, more so than the 1.5 litre. This will pump out 160 brake horsepower over the 1.5 litres 130. That makes it much more responsive when you put your foot down, and that's what we all want in a car, isn't it? Certainly what we want in a sports car. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next road trip.